On the agenda tonight, we're going back to 1992. We're going to be taking a look at Ringo's Starr and his all-star band, and they're going to be performing No Time. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So I'm going to start the video from where Ringo's introducing his all-star band, so we get to see who the members are. There's a little bit of a gap between the introductions and then the performance, so I'll edit that out and we'll jump into the performance when it happens. I'll probably be jumping into this performance as well about halfway through, so if you want to watch it the whole way through without me interrupting it, there's a link as always in the description below, but let's get into it.
I'm going to introduce them. On piano, Burton Cummings. Todd Rundgren. Sax and everything else, Timmy Capello. The Dancing Fool, Nils Lofgren. Timothy B. Schmidt. And Dave Edmonds. Zach Starkey. Oh, thank you, Joe. And the one and only Joe Walsh. This for me. Okay, I'll put me duck down and then we're going to do a bit of rock and roll. You ready for some rock and roll?
I'm just going to jump in here before the guitar solo, because we will get into that in the second section of this video. But talking about the guitars, we are spoilt for choice here. We've got 4 guitars on the go and just top level ability across the board instrumentally, of course. But an important thing to throw in there is the addition of the vocals and being able to play and sing at the same time, but also being able to hit your pitches and sing in harmony with each other. which we've got going on here, it's one of those songs that has that constant backing harmony going on, and they are so solid throughout this all-star band, throughout the whole performance. But just putting the spotlight on Burton Cummings on that lead vocal, to put it in perspective that this was originally released in 1969, and we're talking about 23 years later, and he's still nailing it at the front of the stage, vocally so spot on pitch-wise, but he just throws his vocal up into that male tenor range and has a little bit of rasp on there sometimes when he gets up to that A4, and we're talking about the top end of the male tenor range. So, considering that it's so long after the original release and he's still fresh as a daisy vocally, it's such an impressive vocal performance from every standpoint, with the harmony vocals, but then that lead vocal being absolutely faultless as well. Just before we get into the rhythm guitar going on here, I'll get the piano up on screen so you guys can see the male ranges and the notes that we've got going on here from Burton at the front of the stage. And you can see here the top end of the male tenor range, like I said, an A4. This is where we're really hitting that note in the chorus, but when he starts to let loose, he's way up here. And during the verse, he's going to be almost an octave below the A4. So it means that we're going to be down in this C4 kind of area. But it is mighty impressive, like I said, from that range standpoint, just to be able to belt this out so long after the original release. And yeah, never miss a note. But let's get that off the screen, because we're going to be jumping into the guitar. And just to mention as well that I'm sure you guys noticed that it's Ringo's son on drums, and they're playing together here, so a little bit of double drumming going on. So we are going to jump into the rhythm guitar very quickly, and you'll just need a D chord here, into an F, into a G, into a D, and you just keep on repeating that cycle in the intro and then in the verse. It sounds like we have a little bit of variation going on between the intro and the verse in terms of, with the intro, we have this. So it's a little bit more involved with that right hand. By the time we get into the verse, we have a little bit of a rest on the F. 2, 3, 4, G, D, 2, 3, 4, F, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, like that. So there's a little bit of space in there, or at least more space than the intro. When the verse comes in, you want to be less involved to leave the space for the vocal, so that you can hear not only the lead vocal, but those great backing vocals as well. We also have a little bit of lead going on in the intro, so we'll have a listen to that. Back a little bit. Okay, so it sounds like we're doubling up with that intro as well, but we can certainly see Joe Walsh playing that. So we're starting with this. And there's quite a lot of whammy bar action going on here, so you might want to have that in your hand if you wanted to play along with it. So you go. Kind of like that. So I'm playing that all on the D string. If you want to, you can play it on the A string. Kind of like that. We then get into a little lead part, which is and vibrato with a whammy bar at the top of the bend. Then, so that's a little hammer on. Right at the end there, and a pull off at the beginning, and a little slide down like that. So you want to slide down from 7 to 5 on your D string. Little pinch there as well, first finger on onto 5th fret of the A string, and that's it. And that's the main melody that we get from the lead guitar, and it's great because this is a line that's going to be repeated. When I mentioned about playing the chords in different places, getting those different voicings, you'll be able to hear that in the chorus. So let's have a listen.
No time for a summer friend, no time for the love you send. Seasons change and so did I, need not wonder why.
So here, when we go through the chords, we've got a definite focus on the higher voicings, and that's the one that's certainly cutting through, because you hear that high E string. Like that. And just to give you those chords, that was the G and the D down to the C back up to the D. So it means that with those chords, the other guitars, you can have one or maybe two playing that just to get it to cut through, but then the other rhythm will be playing exactly the same chords down at the bottom, the G into the D, down to the C, back up to the D. And it's going to be a lot more subtle with these chords down at the bottom, because you don't want to overpower the cutting through effect that the higher chords have, hearing that high E string. You don't want to be really kind of, going for it. So we've got this. So that's the G, D, C, D. And then if you want to C, B minor. And that's going to just continue to change from the C to the B minor. Once you've finished on that B minor, we're going to be back into the intro chords, which is the same as the verse chords, which I've already demonstrated. So let's jump into this solo section, and we'll watch the video all the way to the end and then jump into a little bit of the lead work. And there we have it. What a great live version of the song that was, and you really do get the impression that by the ending of the song that they're just feeling their way through it. And this is something else to point out, that with Ringo Starr and his all-star band, you've got members of other bands, of course, that are coming together and then not going to have played for years together in terms of with this setup and with Ringo and with his son. So it is impressive that obviously they're going to have rehearsed, but nowhere near the amount that another band would have if they had just been together for multiple years at a time, doing albums together, doing tours together. So it's really impressive from that standpoint, considering the tightness and the fact that nobody misses a note here, and it's just an overall great sound. And when you compare it to that original, it is slightly pushed tempo-wise, but it doesn't suffer because of that. You get a little bit more energy in the sound. But I do want to jump into the main solo that we have here from Niels, and he makes some really interesting choices. Niels Lofgren here. Let's have a listen. So straight off the bat, we've got this. So that's a little string skip that we have there from 12th fret of your D string, and then jumping over to the 10th fret with your first finger on that B string. And by the way, you want to be in your pentatonic shape 1 here. So we've got that. And then we've got this bend on the G string, and that's going from your 12th fret to the 14th. And then we had, I think we had a bend up on the B string. That's going to be 13th fret to the 15th fret. Now here, this is where it gets interesting, because we've got a little bit of natural minor scale in here, which you wouldn't expect playing over the D, because we're in a major key here, F, G, to the D. So what you're really expecting to hear when we get to this, you can start to throw in a little bit of that major sound because we're playing over that major key. But we go natural minor, like that. Guitarists will make these choices that just push the boundaries, but it makes it sound really interesting because of the fact that he's gone for notes here, and this particular note that isn't really in the scale that we should be playing, or I say should, there's no rules in music, but what you're used to hearing. But let's listen to a little bit more. See there, we've got this. So we're still going, still playing natural minor scale there. There we go. Same thing there. That second finger, like that. And there. And there was a little pinch, which is now going to bed it a little bit more in that major scale. Okay, and now we're just in our minor pentatonic. So we've got this. So we've gone a little bit further up the fretboard here. I'll give myself a little bit more. Hopefully you guys can hear that clearly enough. But I've just taken it a little bit higher, as Niels is doing here. But again, it's going back to this minor pentatonic, rather than being natural minor, which is a little bit more exaggerated than just your standard minor pentatonic. So another option that you might find is played more regularly over the D is going there. Because there, that is going to be part of your major scale, and that's why it's thrown in there, bending up to minor pentatonic. And you hear that bend all the time. Sometimes, I mean, another natural minor that will come in will be on that high E string. So if I went, you can see how on that high E string you can still make it fit in there and not sound too bad. It's just going to sound a little bit more interesting, exactly the way that Niels is using his natural minor scale here. So we'll just jump into the solo again just to hear the next section. Okay, so again, we're going to be slightly extending our minor pentatonic shape here because we're going to be bending 15th fret of the high E string, kind of like that, and jumping up to, and I think it's a little bit like that. Let me take it back. Oh. Kind of like that, so yeah, pretty close. And so just finishes off the lead with a little run, which is going to be getting us back into G, D, C, D, G. So some really cool choices there with the notes. And, I mean, you can pretty much jam over the top of this if you want to in that minor pentatonic shape and have a little play around with those notes that you can put them in there, see what they sound like, see if you like the sound of them, and then start adding them to your own playing, especially when we're in that minor pentatonic shape. The good thing is you can start throwing them in there, that major, and that second finger, and if you can remember, second finger's the minor, third finger's the major, so then when you're playing over the top of a major key, it is really nice to throw in that. Even better with the blues scale after. You hear that kind of thing all the time. And even going up to this high E string with that natural minor. Throwing in the blues at the bottom there. But, you know, the world's your oyster. You can play whichever notes you want to. So a fantastic performance here. A lot of guitar technique to look at as well. And great lead vocals and harmony vocals. If you are playing this on the guitar, it's probably going to be an idea to have hold of the whammy bar the whole time. Because if you're playing the riff, you won't be able to apply that pretty much at the drop of a hat. Same when you get to the top of that bend into a kind of like that, because I think it's quite heavy on the whammy bar in the original or on the original record. So you can start throwing that in. There's nothing worse than wanting to throw in a little bit of whammy bar in there, especially on a song that's got a lot of it in there, and you have to search for your whammy bar and you can't quite get there in time. You've missed your opportunity. So if you're playing the riff, just have it cupped in that right hand just to make sure you've got it available if you want it. But anyway, thank you guys for suggesting this video for me to take a look at, and keep the suggestions coming in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think, and if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!